G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff. Women are in full-blown panic over MGTOW. And of course I'm immediately going to get the same less than humble people who are telling me that I'm full of manure. But trust me when I say they're panicking. Normally this is the part where I play the TikTok videos of the women showing their tatas, complaining that they're single, they can't find a man, that they chose the bear, and all the other grandizing, "It wasn't me, it must be him" videos. But we'll skip all that and just go to the psychology behind it all. Women are expressing their anger and frustration over men choosing to be single, largely because it takes away their power. See, dating is a power dynamic in which the woman has all the power. She's like the landlord. She owns the house. You need a house. You want a house. You want to get in that house. And you want to be warm and cozy in the house for a while. But the landlord wants to charge you rent. And the rent's been too high for so long that you're now homeless. But the thing is, you're the one who's homeless. But you're not unhappy. And the landlord is freaking out. You're supposed to be unhappy. You're not supposed to be enjoying life without her. But that's the problem, see? In the traditional power dynamics, women, a small number of available women, would have a large number of suitors to choose from, and she would find the most suitable. But for so long, that high expectation has turned men from being a number, or shall I say a vine in a jungle of vines, has turned men away from dating. Now, the long-held expectations on gender roles and marriage have empowered and emboldened women for so long, mostly the Romantic age, when it started in around the 17th century, and since then has continued. It's a sort of twisted view of the world where basically women are supposed to be respected no matter what, put on a pedestal no matter what, and often when you're married to one, obeyed no matter what. But men are retreating from the expected responsibility of raising these children and committing to these children in return for nothing. Now, women are finding it hard to find men to fleece. There's increased competition as more and more women choose to be single and date for longer and longer, leading to many women who are not seeking long-term relationships. Instead, large numbers of women trying to date the same few men, leading to a lot of frustration. But the voluntary sisterhood is a coping mechanism, and we all have heard and seen from women saying they are walking away. Well, that's a response to men walking away. A little bit more on that in a moment, but first, I'm sponsored by you, the viewing audience. So please check out my merch store today. Links in the description below or in my profile. Empire Vels, one word, empirevels.myshopify.com. Purchase coffee mugs and other merchandise themed on the Empire Vels by me, a book series where science and technology meet fantasy, hope, and wonder. So, the sisterhood is a fallacy. It's a coping mechanism, just like choosing the bear. See, the voluntary sisterhood is about cope and seethe. They're the same ones who chose the bear. They're the same ones who tried to shame men into dating them, saying that your standards are too high. You're going to lower your standards. While they expect you to be 6'6", carry a 6-inch wad, and pack in a 6-inch party pal. And, of course, most of these women are undesirable, or what you would consider desperate. They've hit the wall and they're desperate for a child. Now, a lot of them become single mothers. They're desperate and alone and still trying to date because they're still after someone who cares for them. See, women are not chasing a sexual relationship. They are chasing daddy. And this has produced what men perceive as the quality pool. These are women who are not just educated, but have reasonable attitudes. Understand the power dynamic of a relationship, but they don't want a traditional relationship. Even though it's worked for thousands of years, they seem to think it's mean and nasty and unfair. So the moment you hear a word, the 3 words from women, right, that you must never ever deal with them, right? Any woman who complains about unfair, the worst word of all, the patriarchy, or women who go whatever or you'll never know. Those words, those are toxic personality syndrome. Okay? You know what a toxic personality syndrome is. You've met them many, many times. Feminists, right? Perpetual victims. They want a daddy. They swing from vine to vine. Everything's a lark. You know, oh, we're only here for a good time, not a long time. And the perpetual child who wants everything to be fair. However, you are going to see a lot of, and a growing trend right now, particularly amongst the media, shaming men who want to go 50-50. Because women have an economic burden, you know. So a lot of women are feeling frustrated because they feel that they're carrying the burden of maintaining relationships. You'll see a lot of videos also from the mainstream media about the relationship burden. That it's women who are walking away from men because men are children. And they're sick of man caring. When the reality is, who's the breadwinner? Who's carrying the relationship? What are women bringing to the relationship? Marriage, instantly sexless. More and more women, only one child if you're lucky. So we have basically the mainstream media, the feminist-dominated gynocentric media. Why? Because women are consumers. Women spend more than men. The whole media is funded by the corporations who want to keep us poor and spending on them. Using women as a proxy. So, I'm not anti-consumerism. It's just that the power dynamic of consumption in this world today. You go to some stores, the men's section is lucky to be 2 racks now. Socks and jocks being the majority of the product. You're lucky to get more than 4 t-shirts now. I used to be able to go to a store. I've seen stores go from 2 racks to 1 rack. And the biggest racks are the hoodies. Why? Because girls buy men's hoodies. You know that, right? The biggest buyer of men's hoodies are women. There are different reasons, you know, chasing the bear. They found the bear, they give the bear the hoodie, thinking that they'll win the bear over. And they still get used, abused, and cast aside. See, men who still attract women are using and abusing them in greater numbers. So you're getting a large number of single women to the few bears. And again, one of the biggest reasons why men are walking away from women is perceived immaturity. Women are now taking to Reddit to complain about men, saying men are avoiding growth. Men are avoiding relationships because they're immature and avoiding responsibility. Now, most men are choosing to be single because they're choosing to preserve their sanity, their wealth, and their health. Men realize if you're in a family, you're going to be having to work 2 jobs to get less result than you do now. Think about it. You're richer, but you're at the end of the day, you don't have any money to spend on yourself, and you're getting no enjoyment out of the relationship, and you're increasingly disconnected from your children, who are being raised to hate you by the state, your mothers, your teachers, your social workers, your media, that all portray men as irresponsible or weak. Now, the irony is, women have been stigmatized for being single, and now, right, they are engaged in what they perceived as just historical justice, aka revenge, where they're taking out their anger and frustrations on men who prioritise their peace over their drama. Now, this phenomenon is measured in a number of ways, but there is a decline in social commitment. And of course, you'll immediately get the statistics that say, well, it's rising in both genders. Well, yes, if men aren't marrying women, the number of single women will go up too, right? It is normal dynamics. But to say it's a full-blown panic is not an understatement. There are now psychological discussions about the dating crisis amongst universities. Big corporations who rely on extraneous income like cut flowers, jewellery, the chocolate makers, theatres, restaurants, they are in financial crisis. Well, there's reactionary women who take to TikTok. The majority are indifferent. They will just cycle through Tinder, whatever, for days, weeks or months, go out on that date, get knocked up, and then, seemingly happy until they're 40, and then you'll get a few more TikToks out of them, and then you'll never hear about it again. But the real panic are the women who make money off dating. And of course, there's one group I left out on purpose, lawyers. That is where the majority of panic is coming from. Remember, the majority of lawyers, female. Family court, female. The number of high-profile female law groups that do John Doe lawsuits, their revenues are down. See, dating gives women validation, enables them to engage in conversations. See, women have boring lives in reality. They sit there consuming the same TV programs as their friends, so there's nothing to talk about there. They can't discuss a TV show because they'll watch The View and just repeat the views. Content, basically. So there's no conversation. So it has to be either dicks or their period. So, yeah, it comes down to, or they have a child, their child's achievements, but those piss off their single friends even more. So, yeah, It comes down to the safe topics of whatever was in the magazine in the lunchroom, and they've all read it, so they've all got nothing to talk about because they all just adopt the opinion of whatever they read or whatever they see. All they have to do is have a authority figure, typically a Democrat or, depending on your country, a left-wing politician, tell you what the opinion is, and they all adopt it. See, because they're shallow, insecure, and they're not independent. Whenever you hear a woman say she's independent, she's not. Right? Independent people don't go around saying, I'm independent, I can take care of myself. And then you just, don't bother. Just walk away. You can't engage these people. They are actually rage bait. They are rage baiting you. Women do this too on social media, not just in real life. They do it more on social media. Women present a transactional view of relationships. They are no longer afraid to make it clear the only thing they want is financial security. And then they feel they are losing out because men are no longer giving them validation and offering them financial security. That is the point of a marriage, right? You are offering a woman a spot in your household, and when you die, a transference of wealth. Marriage, if you notice, has declined since the inheritance decline. Most people couldn't afford to give their wife the house. They had to sell the house to pay for their retirement. Retirees are instantly finding that couples get charged more than two singles, so they opt out of their relationship. Often in nursing homes, couples are separated for their health and safety. Often, of course, women outlast men. Men, however, find that if they have hobbies and habits and something to live for, they don't die early. If they don't overwork, and this is the actual reaction from women. Women want men to die early. Women want men to overwork. Women want a transfer of wealth. Women are indifferent to the suffering of men. If you're in pain, if you're injured, you rarely get a woman wanting to take care of you, or if, at very least for long. I said rarely. Right? Women see romance as an ongoing thing, not a means to an end. Romance is not the courtship ritual or the mating ritual. It is the purpose. They don't see that. They don't want. They want to pretend that sex is something dirty and push it over in the corner. And often they'll tell you that's not the relationship they seek. Usually those who don't seek a sexual relationship, they ride the broomstick. Now, there are many men and many women who do belong to movements. Now, that are, I'd say, men who are monks and women who are part of movements like South Korea's 4B movement, who are claiming to be happy. Now, with monks, I would say yes. But the women in 4B movement, South Korea is now undergoing a mental health crisis unlike any seen in, not even after the Korean War. The number of females who suddenly end themselves is on the rise, either because they can't find a man or the loneliness collapse that happens. Okay, women psychologically, they undergo all this rage, all this hate. As soon as they're no longer valuable as childbearers or marriage material, or even just seen as a sexual object, their ego, they can't handle it. They don't have a purpose anymore. It is one-sided. Women, though, are less likely to exit stage left. than men. And yes, women do try to drive men to self-destruction. But the biggest problem governments have and why they're engaging the universities is radicalisation. Many women and sociologists, universities are now worried MGTOW. It's not because it used to be rare for men to be single, and everybody used to know why a man was single and would stay away from them, either because he liked another man or because he had proclivities that were not legal. And yeah. It's like eventually everyone used to know who the village thief was, and those thieves would soon end up in jail or in medieval times, never seen or heard from again. Now, MGTOW was rare. Men rarely chose to be single. Men used to benefit from marriage. Men used to live longer when they were married. Men used to be more successful when married. But it's flipped. And more online spaces are full of men sharing their success without women. And academic studies have backed this up, that men in single self-improvement movements like MGTOW do better. The problem is the claim is that men become misogynistic, harass women, or anti-feminist, and they're threatening women's rights. But it's a cultural trend. MGTOW is now a cultural trend. More and more men around the world have weighed the risk and the reward of marriage and said, no, there is no cost benefit. More and more men are... Now, we've seen a sudden shift in India. We're yet to see what's going on in China beyond lying flat. But in China, lying flat is with millennials, whereas in India, it's more Generation X onward. In some countries, they now got entire generations. Now, some countries, in order to deal with the marriage crisis, are lowering the age of marriage to 16. Now, in some countries, Brazil's lowered it to 14 to try and get marriage happening. Afghanistan, 9. Now, that's too far. Even 14's too far. I think the recent study in Japan showed that 16 is about the bottom. It's the bottom end, and if you're not married by 25, you miss the boat. Now it's not all women, but I'm just saying the health trend. You rise very quickly young and decline very slowly from that point onwards. And if you don't get used to someone, if you don't have those broad, happy memories early in life, you're not going to have a positive relationship. And see, this is where government has overcorrected. They've tried to make young girls' lives so happy. They so catered to them. A lot of Gen Xers will remember it was the boomers imposing their ideology on Gen X in high school. See, a lot of boomers after World War II embraced socialism. They tried to impose it, feminism, socialism, collectivism, liberalism, all the different isms all at once. Now, a lot of boomers, as you know, the hippie movement is actually a pseudo-Islamic Buddhist movement from the hippie trail that extended from from the southeast of Vietnam, all the way through Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. It was like no one particular trail, right? It was a big encompassing area, like a big oval that went all the way up into Afghanistan. Yeah, it was the Golden Triangle, the drug trade, back when opium was legal, which didn't last long. Now, out of that era, a few people got rich and started businesses. The rest went to jail or died early from drug addictions. So now adversary can harden people. It can make them more compassionate. It can make them more caring husbands. It can do a lot of things. But women always wanting to harden their man, to test their man, to see his worth, have gone too far. Now, the mainstream view of 4B and MGTOW is that they're basically the same. No, I'm not going to even entertain that today. It might take a few videos before I might or may not even care to do it. But right now, the government is engaged in shaming tactics. For now, it's feminists in trying to infiltrate men's spaces to shame men into marriage, telling you that you fear emotional commitment, that divorce courts only full of misogynists and sexists. All you have to be is caring and compassionate. But the reality is, women fear men walking away. They fear the relationship power that they have will be gone. They claim it's a safety issue. So they choose to bear. But again, that's an emotional manipulation tactic to make you panic. It's a psychological ploy. Choose to bear is a psychological ploy to have you run begging to women, right? You heard of social exclusion? You exclude someone and you force them to beg you to take them in, that you'll adopt all their beliefs. That's what women have done for so long, right? That they've gotten away with being naughty for so long. Now again, I shouldn't have said women, I should have said feminists. But traditional power is in dating. The dynamics shift in marriage. Because more and more men have nothing for women to fleece. They're frustrated because men won't engage in long-term relationships, while the reality is they engage in a series of short-term relationships, and when they're satisfied that they've or feel the need to move on, they'll find someone else to fleece. Women do not engage in long-term relationships. They don't. They engage in a series of short-term relationships which they renew because it's still beneficial to them. Now, when it's mutually beneficial, you stay together. Women don't care about mutual benefit, and that's why men are walking away. And there's many other reasons too. But I'm saying, right now, and if you're in MGTOW, you're going to be approached either by, most of you don't answer your phone, I believe, but they're going to either phone you or text you or hit you with online ads to answer surveys about marriage and relationships and your views. Now, these are loaded questions to try and figure out why men are walking away so that they can narrow down to what they can manipulate, and that is your economic situation. Try and make sure that you cannot survive without a wife. They've been rising the cost of living to force you into two-income households. So, just a heads up. Now, I think, a lot of people check out at this point or before, but thank you to all those who made it this far. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you, especially those who watch the entire video, because that means, and I know it's a minority of you, but it means you're awake and aware. So, yeah, you know what's going on and you'd like to stay informed. That's great. I really appreciate you all. If you can't financially support the channel, could you at least give us a like? Like, share and subscribe. Support the channel. You can support the channel on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.